Higher taxes will cut output by 25% by the year 2022. This means that output will fall by more than 500,000 barrels per day, compared with a 60% increase if the terms are favorable. The oil producers trade section, which includes Shell, Chevron, Mobil, Total and Eni, pump more than 90% of Nigeria's oil. The PIB proposes to boost the government's share of revenue to at least 73% from the current 61%. Meanwhile, a parliamentary committee of the House of Representatives is of the opinion that Nigeria should revoke oil rights for which Royal Dutch Shell plc and Eni paid $1.1 billion, alleging that the acquisition process was highly flawed. According to a probe report filed by the committee, Shell and Eni jointly bought oil prospecting licenses estimated to hold at least 9 billion barrels of crude reserves worth $1 trillion. The report shows the sale violates a law to promote increased Nigerian ownership of oil assets by giving foreign companies 100% ownership, as well as the country's tax regulations. Nigeria is Africa's largest oil producer, with Shell, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Total and Eni running joint ventures with the state-owned NNPC, which pumps more than 90% of the country's oil. The Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria has urged charity and non-profit organizations to register with it before the end of this year. Addressing journalists in Lagos, the Chief Executive Officer of the Council, Mr. Osayade Abazi, says since the registration started back in 2011, the number of organizations so far registered isn't encouraging.
Chairman of Audit Committee also registering, because the auditors, if they sign in the financial statement and you are an investor, you have some comfort. If by December this year they have not started complying with the statement of account standard number 32, then we will take soft steps to persuade them to comply. Soft steps will include liaising with Central Bank, Federal Revenue Service, and Corporate Affairs Commission. Don't forget that Corporate Affairs Commission and Federal Revenue Service are beginning to work with us in this area. We liaise also with Central Bank and say that if you are a not-for-profit entity and you do not have CAC number on your letterhead, you are not registered with FRC, then you will not have a bank account.
On the international scene, as part of plans to resume peace talks, Israel says it will release a number of Palestinian prisoners. In an agreement made with the U.S. Secretary of State, John Kerry, Israeli Minister Yuval Stinitz, who is responsible for international relations, says it will involve heavyweight prisoners in jail for decades. The Israeli minister's remarks are the first details of the deal. Mr. Kerry announced on Friday that initial talks will be held in Washington in the next week or so. The U.S. Secretary had declined to tell reporters in Amman what the two sides had agreed on, saying that the best way to give the negotiations a chance is to keep them private. The agreement came at the end of 4 days of frantic shuttle diplomacy on Mr. Kerry's sixth visit to the region in the past few months. A court has pronounced 5 people guilty of manslaughter over the deadly 2012 Costa Concordia shipwreck off Italy. The boat's helmsman, cabin service director, 2 ship officers, and the head of the Italian company's crisis team were sentenced to up to 2 years and 10 months in prison for multiple manslaughter, negligence, and shipwreck. But reports say they may avoid prison time. In the meantime, the trial of Captain Francesco Schettino has been adjourned after he requested electrical tests on the ship. He is charged with multiple manslaughter for causing the shipwreck and abandoning the vessel with thousands still on board. His case will resume on September the 23rd after Italy's summer holidays. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has vowed to win the Moscow mayoral vote after he was freed from jail pending an appeal against a 5-year jail term. He has returned to Moscow from Kirov, where a judge convicted him of embezzlement in a case that was widely condemned as being political. The court then ruled on Friday that he could go back to Moscow until the appeal. The jail term has been criticized by the United States, the European Union, and some human rights groups around the world. In sports news, English Premier League club West Brom has placed a £2 million transfer tag on Nigerian striker Osaze Odemwingie. Odemwingie has endured a difficult last 7 months since trying to force a transfer to relegated Queen's Park Rangers in January. He had been fined, made to use a different dressing room from the rest of the squad, left out from the club's pre-season tour, and even compelled to train with the club's youth team. Crystal Palace has shown strong interest in the former Lille forward, but the latest bid for the 32-year-old services came from Dubai-based club Al Nassr. The list of 18 home-based players scheduled to travel to Abidjan for the final African Nations Championship qualifier is expected to be released on Tuesday. The team are currently preparing for the encounter in Abuja under the supervision of the coaching crew led by coach Stephen Keshi. Reports say the coaches have already picked 15 of the players, while 6 others will complete the squad for the game against Côte d'Ivoire on July the 27th. Nigeria won the first leg of the tie by 4-1, and the winner on goal aggregates qualifies for the tournament billed for South Africa next year. UEFA and the Spanish Football Federation have both handed the Golden Eaglets assistant coach Emmanuel Amunike with a UEFA Pro coaching license after he successfully completed the high-profile course. The UEFA Pro license is the final coaching qualification available after the completion of the UEFA Grade A and Grade B licenses. It is required by anyone who wishes to manage a football club in the top level of any nation's league system on a permanent basis. The former African Footballer of the Year will join the Golden Eaglets for the final phase of preparation for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Barcelona President Sandro Rosell has announced that Tito Villanova's successor will be announced next Tuesday. The Spanish La Liga champions are without a substantive manager after Villanova left his job based on medical grounds. Now, Rosell also confirmed that the first team has cancelled the friendly against Lechia Gdansk, which was scheduled for this weekend in Poland. Rosell believes the decision to suspend the match was made by the first-team players themselves. Olympic silver medalist Caster Semenya has been left out of South Africa's provisional track and field squad for next month's IAAF World Championships in Moscow, Russia. Athletics South Africa announced a provisional 30-member squad for the global showpiece to be held from August 10th to the 18th. The team, consisting of 22 track and field athletes, 6 marathoners and 2 race walkers, includes 15 athletes who have met the IAAF standard for the track and fields program. Our world's greatest long-distance runner, Haile Gebrselassie, says he hopes to emulate his successes in sport with a win at the ballot box. The Ethiopian on Thursday announced that he plans to stand for parliament with the aim of winning a seat in the country's 2015 election. Gebrselassie, who plans to run as an independent, says he is not daunted by the prospect of politics tarnishing his reputation as a sports hero. That's it on Sports News and on News Track. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balu. Still tuned to our normal programming here on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. On the half hour is MDG Project Tracking.